Hi everyone, I'm Vicki Murphy. I am a Jira Align specialist at Expium, which is a platinum solutions partner with Atlassian. And in this video, I will be breaking down the updates to Jira Align with the release of version 10.113. This version was released to Jira Align instances on the continuous release track on October 21st, 2022, and it will be hitting production instances on November 4th, 2022. With that, let's go ahead and dig in. First, some updates that will impact mostly administrators. Starting with Atlassian is updating their .NET requirement to .NET 6. This is going to be really only impacting anyone who is hosting an on-prem instance of Jira Align, and it is in compliance with Microsoft's announcement regarding the end of support for .NET 3.1. In their announcement, Atlassian stated that you can upgrade your infrastructure as soon as you like. Versions 10.112 and 10.113 of Jira Align do support both .NET 3.1 and 6. However, they do recommend upgrading your infrastructure no later than December 7th of 2022, as future releases of Jira Align will only support .NET 6. Atlassian also stated that if you have any questions about this, do reach out to their support team. Couple more admin updates. Atlassian has continued to enable functionality in the tool that previously required contacting the support team to enable it, this time with the Why Details button. This is one of my favorite functions of Jira Align, so I'm really glad to see that it's just going to be rolled out with any new instances. Likely, if you are using an existing instance of Jira Align, your implementation partner or Atlassian themselves may have or likely have already turned this on for you. So I don't expect a huge impact to end users on this one. Atlassian is also continuing to open up the API 2.0. Now with snapshots, the field's funding levels and work structure have the get, post, put, and patch endpoints open. And for your releases, even though this says releases, typically this will be renamed to program increments, but just be aware that in the documentation it will say release. The program allotment and program fields have been opened up for the get, post, and put endpoints as well. Another update is to the Jira connector. So if you are an admin of Jira Align, you are likely familiar with the timer settings in the Jira connector page. These now have minimum and maximum settings. So there were previously just recommendations, but there now are some min and max settings, and here's what they are. Just as a quick rundown, the timer on Jira boards impacts how frequently Jira boards are syncing over to Jira Align. Timer on Jira issues, same thing, just at an issue level. And timer on continuous push to Jira is just like it sounds, how frequently Jira Align is syncing back to Jira software. In the release notes, Atlassian said most instances they are seeing the timer on Jira issues and the continuous push to Jira already being set between this range. However, they did state that timer on Jira boards, many instances are below the minimum recommendation here. Atlassian does recommend that you update this setting. You will start to see an error or a warning rather that you need to update this setting. And they say that it is a much higher interval here because syncing Jira boards makes so many API calls that it can slow the overall sync time for everything syncing between these two tools, especially for large instances. So do check that out and consider updating that. I'm now going to switch over to Jira Align and cover the rest of the updates from the tool itself. In the last release, Atlassian did launch their new objective tree experience. We did a deep dive video on this, but we are continuing to see some updates to this view now. Starting with the goal hierarchy, if you weren't aware, the Jira Align does allow us to continue our objective hierarchy up into goals. These are highly customizable. You likely have different terminology here, but you have a lot of different goal levels that can be customized. Now in the objective tree, we are able to use the actions hierarchy over here to actually view the hierarchical view of these goals. So in the previous release, we could only utilize this for objectives, but now we can use it for goals. Couple of other updates, we are able to edit the columns shown now. So similar to our grid and our backlog views, we can toggle on and off some of these fields that may not be applicable to the information we're looking for. And we also have an export button. You'll notice that I'm actually not able to push that for goals at this time, but if I go down to an objective layer, I am able to export the list from here. Couple other updates are actually to the legacy experience. So if you are still using the legacy experience, which I will mention, you do have to contact Atlassian to have the new experience turned on. So if you haven't done that and you don't see it in your tool, do contact them. In the legacy experience, however, which this is the legacy experience, couple of updates. First, you are always going to see the solution objectives tab moving forward. Even if you aren't using the solution layer, which it's okay if you aren't, a lot of companies don't need that layer. So we recommend not using it unless you actually really do need it. Excuse me. You're always going to see this tab here. If you are using the solution layer, there is a strict hierarchy to link your program objectives to solution objectives up to portfolio objectives. If you aren't using the solution layer, you likely don't have a need to create solution objectives, but if you do, you can link those to portfolio objectives. An additional update is if you are looking at the list view here, you can apply filters, which is not a new piece of the tool. Oops, I already have it added. However, now when you add one of these in, similar again to the grid and the backlog views, you can see what those filters are here. Do keep in mind that Atlassian has announced that over time, the legacy experience will be deprecated. They have not announced when that is just yet, but we do recommend switching to the new objective experience or objective tree experience and start training and informing your users on that, as the legacy will be eventually deprecated. As with most releases for Jira Align, there were several defect fixes. If you want to dig through any of these in detail or see any of the updates that we have talked about in this video, the link to the release notes will be in the description as usual. That wraps up the updates to Jira Align with the release of version 10.113. Thank you very much and good luck on your Jira Align journey.